So the first 5 to 6 years of my life, I grew up in a small country in Central Asia called Kyrgyzstan. My parents were over there as missionaries, so I had no choice but to live there. And whilst I was over there, I developed a sickness called E. coli. If you know anything about E. coli, you know that it often causes death in children. But to make matters worse, we were over there in Kyrgyzstan, where the healthcare is almost non-existent. All that we had was one doctor who was a friend of my parents who came round to my house. I was placed on the kitchen counter, and that doctor informed my parents that there was a 10% chance that I would survive. Skipping a few parts to this story, I ended up surviving, and if you want to know the biggest things I learned from a near-death experience, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I'm not going to go into that in this video. But the point of the story is that I ended up being stick thin. That having that sickness ended up putting in my immune system that it was so weak that for the rest of my childhood, I was so skinny. I was the skinny kid. I was the kid that was smaller than everyone else. Whenever I took my top off, people would comment on, oh, your ribs are showing. Oh, why are you so skinny? Oh, you should eat more. But it was all because of that E. coli sickness that I had, which was why I was so skinny. And that left a lot of emotional turbulence inside of my life. I was almost bullied to the fact that I was skinny, and it left a lot of insecurity in my life. But when I picked up Marcus Aurelius' book, Meditations, the first epiphany that I had was the fact that I was super skinny and the fact that I'd been made fun of all my life, this wasn't inherently a bad thing. And in fact, I could flip this negativity around and use it as an acceleration for growth. I could put it and use the emotions I felt as fuel to the fire and use that to accelerate personal growth. Now, my name's Andrew Kirby. I'm an author, international speaker, but in this video the most important thing is that I'm just a kid who's trying to practice Stoicism. So in this video you're going to learn the main thing that I'm doing in order to become a Stoic motherfucker. But before we get into that, let's head back to my house. It's the day after Christmas, so I'd really appreciate it if you could hit this video with a like. And after you've done that, we're going to go back to my house and explain the main thing I'm doing in order to become a Stoic. And it's an important note to mention here that I don't mean Stoic as in the cold, hard-faced Stoic that doesn't feel emotion. I mean the Stoic in terms of the philosophy Stoic. But let's go back home and I'll explain to you how you can grow and how you can be a Stoic. So in that little story, there's 3 main Stoic concepts that you can pick apart from it. The first one is to disassociate yourself from events that happen. To recognize that any event that happens is not actually affecting you emotionally. There's always your perception of the event in between the event and your emotions, and you can change that perception to feel whichever emotion you want about an event. The second thing is that any event that happens, you can actually rearrange your perspective to make that negative event positive. And the third thing is growth, and that's actually what we're going to focus on in this video. So the first section of this video is why is growth important and why it's going to make you happy, and this is the motivating part of the video, the part of the video that's going to spur you into taking more action than you've ever taken before. And the second part of this video is going to be how you can grow and actually how you can accelerate your growth. And then finally at the end of this video I'm going to show you a bonus to let you skip the growth process so that you can accelerate your growth faster than anyone else around you, and it's just incredible. And that is the free bonus that I'm going to include at the end of this video. So growth is important because it is acting in accordance to our nature. And when we act in accordance to our nature, nature rewards us with intense feelings of fulfillment. Let me explain. When a tree grows, it grows as tall as it possibly could. You will never see a tree that doesn't grow as tall as it possibly could. It takes what it's given and it uses it to grow as high as possible, send its roots as deep as possible, produce as many leaves as it possibly can, and produce as much fruit as it possibly can. That's what every single tree does. And it's the same with ants. Every single ant out there, out of all of the millions of ants out there, they will always work as hard as it possibly can. And come to think about it, have you ever seen a human being physically grow as half as it possibly could? No, human beings, the physical side of us, we grow as tall as we possibly can given the energy that we're given. And that is all outside of our control. We can't decide how tall we grow. We take the calories we've given and our body makes us grow and grow and grow until we can't grow anymore, until we've reached our capacity. But what is within our control? Well, our mental growth, that is within our control. And when we don't grow as much as we possibly can mentally, the fact that it is within our control, then that is going against nature, and that will lead to us feeling down and depressed and lonely and all of these negative feelings. But if we can get ourselves to grow to our maximal capacity, to become the people that we can be, our maximum potential, if we can reach that, that is acting in accordance to nature, and nature will reward us with intense feelings of fulfillment. So if you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, you've got to act with accordance to nature, and you've got to grow. It's a must, not a want. Now let's get into the 4 steps that you need to take and remind yourself of on a daily basis to ensure that you're growing to your maximum capacity. And the first one is, and by the way, at the end of these 4 steps, I'm going to give you an acronym to help you remember these 4 things. So make sure until you stick around until then, and also until that surprise that I keep talking about. So the first step, the first out of the 4 steps to growing as fast as you possibly can, is to remember that time is limited and that you could die at any time. That is the very first step, the importance of time. You can spend loads of money, but you can always get that money back, and that is completely different to time. The moment that you waste an hour's time, that time is gone forever. It's gone into the abyss, and you will never get that time back. That is why time is so important. We only have a limited amount of time, and if we waste a lot of it, then we are done for. We can't grow. We can't do anything with that lost time. It is wasted. It is gone. So the first step is to remind yourself of the importance of time. The second step is to remember the second and third and fourth order consequences. Let me explain. Most people, when they do actions, they're only thinking about the first order consequences. If I eat this food, then it's going to taste good. If I miss the gym today, it's not going to do much to my body. If I drink this water, I'm gonna, not feel thirsty anymore. But we seem to forget the second and the third and the fourth order consequences. We forget that if we don't go to the gym today, then we're not getting ourselves in the habit of going into the gym tomorrow. If we don't go to the gym today, we're gonna have slightly less energy, which means we're gonna do slightly less work, which means that we're maybe unlikely to get as high as a grade as we want, which might result in us not getting into the university we want, which might end up in us not getting the job I want. You see, every single action, whether it's a positive action or a negative action, it causes a domino effect of all of the decisions afterwards. Where you are and the position you are in life at the moment is a result of all of the decisions you've made previously, which means that where you'll end up in life is a result of all of the decisions you make up. We need to stop focusing on the first order consequences and recognize that every single decision that you make has second order consequences, third order consequences, fourth, fifth, sixth, and just so many consequences, just like a domino effect. So if you make the wrong decision, that's going to cause a lot of damage to you. But if you can start making the right decisions, then you are on a steep upward trajectory. So the second one is to remember the second order consequences and all of the other order consequences. The third one is the fact that the actions you take are building habits. So again, just like I talked about previously, you've got to remember that if you don't do something once, then you're not very likely to do it the next day. So if you think, I'm not going to go to the gym today, then tomorrow you're going to have that exact same set of rationalizations that you had today that stopped you going from the gym, and you're never going to go. This is why people go and they do a habit every single day for 50 days, but as soon as they fall off that habit, they don't do it for another month. And I saw this personally in my life with meditation. I could meditate every single day for 2 months, but the first day that I didn't meditate, the first day I came up with an excuse, then that same excuse was there the next day and the next day and the next day. So the third point here is to remember that everything you do is either building a good habit or breaking a bad habit, or it's breaking a good habit or building a bad habit. So habits is the third thing that you've got to remember. And the fourth thing to remember is how you do anything is how you do everything, which means that like physical habits that are built with doing things, those same habits are built within our mental brain. For example, if I approach a task half-heartedly, then I'm very unlikely to approach my other tasks that I do in life with completely full and focused energy. No, because the brain has a hard time distinguishing between which task it's doing. The very subconscious brain doesn't know which task you're doing. All it knows is how you focus on that task and how you approach that task. So you may start to notice that if you're having a bad relationship, then the attitude you bring to that relationship is going to spill out into all other areas of your life. How you do anything is how you do everything. So let's just go over a very quick mental exercise here. Think about your routine in the shower. If you have a cold shower, you get in there and you have a cold shower for 5 minutes and you push yourself and you struggle and you love the pressure of having that cold, that shower, and it invigorates you. And once you've done that, you wash yourself as quickly as possible. You're completely present to the moment. If you can bring that attitude to something as menial as showering, then that attitude is going to spill over into all other tasks of your life. Whereas if you go in the shower, you spend half an hour just daydreaming, relaxing, just letting the warm water embrace you in bliss, then that same relaxing energy is going to be brought across into all attitudes of your life. So how you do anything is how you do everything. That is the 4 things you've got to remind yourself on a daily basis if you want to remind yourself to grow as quickly as possible. Now you can remember this with a simple acronym of time to build habits and bring the right attitude. So time, the first section of time to build habits and bring the right attitude, that is referencing the first point I made on the importance of time. Time 2, the number 2, that's talking about second order consequences. The third one is build habits, time to build habits. That's reminding yourself that every action you take is either building a habit or it's breaking a habit, and those habits you're building could be good or bad, and those habits you're breaking could be good or bad. And time to build habits and bring the right attitude. The bring the right attitude section is a reminder of how you do anything is how you do everything. So before I share the secret free bonus that I've talked about previously in this video, I just want you to go down and like this video if you've enjoyed it. If you're new around here, then go down and click the subscribe button. And if you want to, go and comment down below, because I reply to every single comment. So if you've got any thoughts, any opinions, any questions, go down there and drop a comment, because I will reply to it. Now onto that secret bonus. Well, if you click the very first link in the description, that is going to be a free course which is going to reveal the secrets that you need to have the compound growth effect on your personal growth. So you've heard about compound interest, where your money goes up like this. That is what we're going to be sharing with you, the secret to have that same effect but in personal growth. Because at the moment your personal growth is probably going up in a linear fashion, but in that first link in the description I reveal the secret to have this sort of growth with your personal growth. The compound effect on your personal growth, the secret is in the first link in the description.